We are getting closer. Starship is nearly ready for launch. SpaceX is expanding the Orbital Tank Farm, Chandrayaan-3's mission continues, and Japan is about to launch a combo moon mission. My name is Felix, welcome to What About It. Let's dive right in. Starship updates. Another eventful week at Starbase. With every day we're inching closer to the second Starship launch, yet the entire place is still booming with activity. Good to have you with me again, let's go! Our visit to SpaceX's Starbase kicks off with a focus on Booster 9, which recently underwent a mostly successful 33-engine static fire test. While 2 engines shut down ahead of schedule, it appears good enough to qualify this prototype for flight. It is on! Shortly after the static fire, SpaceX graced us with another stunning video, this time giving us the launch tower perspective. As we all wait for the FAA's ongoing investigation to wrap up, engineers at Starbase are busy working on the booster's engine section. On August 29th, we witnessed pretty compelling evidence that Booster 9 will likely never be lifted again using Mechazilla. The stabilizing pins that secure the booster were removed. The only way this prototype will likely be moved from its current position on the orbital launch mount is via the thrust of its 33 Raptor engines. With that, it appears that the bulk of work on Booster 9 has concluded. There is nothing major left to do before its prototype can take to the skies. It is ready. That's why we can now focus on Ship 25, which still resides at the Rocket Garden. Recently, heat tiles were used to mask the nose cone ground handling points. Then, as a final aesthetic touch-up on August 29th, the SpaceX logo was painted above its telemetry antennas. Ain't that a beauty? A day later, it also received its S25 decal, so things are getting serious. As of recording this video, there are no announced road closures, suggesting that some internal work may still be pending before Ship 25 is ready to unite with Booster 9. While technically we're just a few steps away from completing the entire launch campaign, the regulatory landscape unfortunately appears less straightforward. According to aerospace reporter Christian Davenport, any modifications originating from the investigation into the first flight will require formal approval. This includes the entire deluge system. The wheels of bureaucracy are known to turn slowly, so I doubt all of this paperwork can be done in a week or two. However, having a Starship ready before receiving FAA clearance could actually work to SpaceX's advantage. This readiness could place some pressure on the agency, potentially accelerating the approval process in the future. So let's assume that Starship won't launch for another few weeks. Will SpaceX just halt everything and wait until they get the license? Unlikely. So what are some possible directions they might take? Firstly, if there are significant delays, it's plausible that the engineering team will turn their focus towards upgrading the Orbital Tank Farm. Recent aerial photographs show that the concrete stands for the additional tanks are already completed. This could mean that the arrival and installation of these tanks might happen sooner rather than later. Moreover, we've observed intriguing deliveries that suggest that the fueling process for Starship could become more efficient. During the original tank farm construction, SpaceX built it in a way that would allow for future upgrades. Recently, 4 subcoolers showed up at Starbase, and these are meant for the liquid oxygen side of the tank farm. You might be wondering, what is a subcooler? Is it like a mini fridge? Excellent question, allow me to explain. A subcooler is a heat exchanger that uses liquid nitrogen to lower the temperature of the rocket propellant. So the nitrogen gets warmer, but the oxygen or methane gets colder, while both liquids pass through the subcooler. So why would I want an even cooler propellant, you may ask? As the propellant cools, it becomes denser, meaning that more of it can be stored in the same amount of space. This is why cryogenic propellants are generally preferred in rocketry. They offer greater density and thus efficiency. Since the necessary piping for these subcoolers has also shown up at Starbase, it's reasonable to anticipate that their installation will be underway shortly. More subcoolers will require more pumps to be added. Currently, there are 4 pumps for the liquid oxygen side, but there is room for a 5th. On the methane side, 3 pumps are in place with the capability to add a 4th one. By making these upgrades, the time required to fuel a Starship stack could be cut in half from the current 1.5 hours. This would have the effect of significantly accelerating both testing and launch procedures. Intriguing developments are also taking place near the suborbital section of the complex. Work seems to be underway at Pad B, possibly refurbishments following Ship 25's static fire. While that is noteworthy, what's even more intriguing is the construction activity near the suborbital tank farm. Engineers appear to be erecting a wall near the boundary of this area, prompting questions about its purpose. Although it might be a bit speculative, could this be a sign that SpaceX is moving towards creating a 3rd test pad? After all, there is the legendary Pad C, which was a part of the Starbase expansion plans. This new pad could be dedicated to many things, such as a place for booster spin prime tests or a higher altitude ship test stand. The existing stands might be too close to the ground to properly test a ship fitted with 6 vacuum Raptor 3 engines. Alternatively, the new construction may simply be aimed at covering the area with concrete to control dust. What are your thoughts? Is it likely that SpaceX will continue to expand the suborbital side of the launch site, or are these simply finishing touches? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments below. While awaiting regulatory approval, SpaceX has other prototypes that can be put through their paces. It is a never-ending stream of prototypes, and it'll even speed up further once Star Factory is operational. Ship 26 is currently in the rocket garden ready for a static fire test. Additional ship number 1. Given how clean the launch site has become, initiating a 6-engine test for this prototype should be manageable, especially since it has already passed all its cryogenic tests. Similarly, Ship 28 is also stationed in the rocket garden, with engineers busy hooking up its newly installed engines. This prototype will also soon be ready for a static fire, additional ship number 2. As for the boosters, the options are more limited. As previously mentioned, Booster 9 is securely mounted on the OLM and unlikely to be taken down in the near future, ruling out the possibility of static firing Booster 10. Booster 11, however, could be moved to Massey's to begin its cryogenic testing phase, although it currently still resides at the build site where we are moving right now. Take a look at the high bay. 2 ship prototypes should immediately catch your eye. To the left is Ship 30, which was recently assembled, and to the right is Ship 29, which has been in the high bay for quite a long time now. Engineers are taking their time with Ship 29, but the appearance of heat tiles at the weld sections indicates it is nearing readiness for its first tests. On August 25th, another enigmatic prototype was assembled inside the high bay. Despite its best efforts to remain hidden, it was spotted as soon as it was moved to the ring yard. This prototype appears to be yet another test tank, although its serial number remains unknown. The tank features a reinforced aft ring and 3 additional full rings topped with what looks like an E-dome, a flatter, simpler to manufacture version of the bulkheads currently in use by SpaceX. The shift to the new style of domes has been a gradual process, as the initial domes of this design were seen more than a year ago. Given that an increasing number of test tanks are adopting these new domes, it is reasonable to expect one to be featured in an upcoming ship prototype soon. This will raise the usable space inside the Starship payload bays quite a bit. Adjacent to the high bay is the first mega bay, serving as a temporary home for boosters. I've already mentioned Booster 10's engine installation, so let's focus on a more significant achievement. Believe it or not, the long-awaited milestone is finally here. Super Heavy Booster 12 was finally assembled. Both the oxygen and methane tanks for this prototype mainly were completed 2 months ago, but the final stacking didn't occur until August 28th. It is hard to explain why exactly it took them so long, but my best guess is that they just have more prototypes than they need, so why rush it? Work is also progressing on the second megabay. Currently, it may seem like little is happening there, but that's because the focus is on installing stairs stored right next to the bay. It makes sense to complete this work before the roof goes up. Switching our focus to the payload processing facility, usually the storage area for V2 Starlinks, we've noticed that recently it was filled with wooden crates. These contain components for a large hydraulic press that SpaceX plans to install inside the Star Factory. It is likely more convenient to assemble everything here and then move it to the factory in one piece. As for the specifics of this hydraulic press, details are scarce. We do know that it was likely produced by a company called ACB, which offers a wide range of press types. The press being installed at the Star Factory will probably be used for mass-producing components like support stringers and COPV shields. However, it could also serve other purposes, such as fabricating nose cones from a single metal sheet. What are your thoughts? Do you have any idea why SpaceX needs a hydraulic press? Please leave your thoughts in the comments, I love reading them. Our little experiment from the last video shows that many of you were in fact unsubscribed from Y without knowing about it. Yeah, thousands already found out through our mention. YouTube apparently can sometimes unsubscribe you from our channel, so check if you are still subscribed even if you were already, so you don't miss our uploads. We're just 6K away from hitting the insane milestone of 300,000 subscribers. Can you help us achieve it before the end of September? While at it, hit that like button, share this video with your family and friends, and consider becoming a Y supporter. You get access to daily Starbase photo galleries for as low as $1 per month. Now it includes aerial and ground photos of SpaceX's progress and countless other extras on top. No matter how much you decide to give, everyone gets the same supporter content and access. You decide what you want to give. The link to our Patreon page is in the description. Thanks to thousands of supporters who help fulfill dreams on our team. We can't thank you enough. You rock! On we go. Now let's shift our focus from Earth to its natural satellite, the Moon. We've been tracking the progress of various space agencies competing for a successful moon landing for several weeks now. While Russia's Luna 25 recently met an unfortunate end due to a maneuvering error crashing into the moon's surface, another mission was inching closer to success. Launched on July 14th, India's Chandrayaan-3 spent nearly 6 weeks in space before attempting to land. Learning valuable lessons from its predecessor, Chandrayaan-3 successfully made contact with the lunar surface on August 23rd. Soon after, the orbiter from the previous Chandrayaan mission captured the lander using its high-resolution camera. The same camera which had previously given us incredibly detailed images of the Apollo landing sites. Eat that, flat earthers! Subsequent images from Chandrayaan-3's lander confirmed that it had touched down in one piece. Once all systems were verified to be operational, the Vikram lander's ramp was lowered and the onboard Pragyan rover began its lunar journey. It is absolutely incredible stuff. Meanwhile, 3 scientific instruments on the lander were successfully activated. The first one, CHA-STE, employs a temperature probe capable of measuring surface temperature up to 10 centimeters or 4 inches deep into the moon's regolith. Data collected from it already produced a graph showcasing how the temperature varies with depth. Another experiment, Ramba-IP, is designed to monitor the plasma density near the moon's surface. The third and final experiment on the Vikram lander is ILSA, which is focused on measuring seismic activity around the landing area. By August 25th, it was confirmed that the Pragyan rover was also operating as expected. Incredible job by Israel. It had already traversed its first 8 meters and its 2 onboard payloads were activated. One of these, the Laser-Induced Breakdown Spectrometer, or LIBS, is designed to analyze the moon's soil composition. It has already detected elements like sulfur, aluminum, and oxygen. And no, that doesn't mean you can breathe on the moon, but the more elements we can find on the moon, the better we'll be able to stay permanently. Currently, the rover is on a quest to find traces of hydrogen. As you can see, the mission marks a resounding success for ISRO, India's space agency. Not only does the lander function as expected, but all the onboard experiments are also performing smoothly. Both the Vikram lander and the Pragyan rover are designed to operate for a relatively brief mission duration of 14 days. This means that their planned mission objectives are close to completion. But why is that window so short? There is a relatively straightforward explanation. This 14-day lifespan correlates to the moon's unique day-night cycle. One lunar day, that is from sunrise to sunrise, lasts about 30 Earth days. So if you were standing in one location on the moon, you'd experience nearly 15 Earth days of continuous daylight, followed by an equal period of darkness. Lunarians will have a wild sleeping cycle in the future. Currently, both Chandrayaan-3's lander and rover are basking in lunar daylight. However, once this fortnight of activity concludes, their solar panels will no longer receive any light for the subsequent 2 weeks. This poses a high likelihood that the onboard batteries will deplete below safe levels, shutting down the whole operation. That being said, we've seen many missions designed for short lifespans exceed our expectations, lasting months or even years. For example, Mars Spirit, tough little guy. It was supposed to survive only 92 days but lived for 2,695, so 30 times longer. That's why it wouldn't be such a shocker if either the lander or the rover managed to revive itself during the next lunar day. Believe it or not, our lunar adventures for today are far from over. Another lander is gearing up for launch. Let the lander parade continue. It's time to see what's happening in Japan. On August 28th, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries was ready to launch its H-2A rocket. This one has a fascinating mix of scientific payloads on board. First up is XRISM, the X-ray Imaging and Spectroscopy mission, a collaboration between NASA and JAXA. X-ray astronomy is a key scientific field that allows us to understand better how things like dark matter work. Currently, we have 2 state-of-the-art devices allowing us to study X-rays: XMM Newton and the Chandra X-ray Observatory. There is one problem with them: they are slowly showing their age. After all, they've been in operation for over 20 years. That is 4 times longer than their planned mission lives, making their continued functionality uncertain. They can basically break down any day now. I hope I didn't jinx it. In 2016, we as humanity launched the Hitomi X-ray satellite, which is supposed to help us maintain a continued and uninterrupted observation of our universe. There was an issue though. Once the satellite was in space, it started spinning out of control, which resulted in it breaking apart in orbit. The whole mission survived for only 37 days. This created a massive concern. If both the satellites mentioned earlier stopped working, we could miss critical cosmic phenomena. XRISM aims to prevent that. It will be positioned in a low Earth orbit at 550 kilometers or 342 miles, aiming to advance our understanding of topics like galaxy cluster formation and the elusive dark matter. But the H-2A rocket isn't just carrying XRISM. It is also hosting the Smart Lander for Investigating Moon, or SLIM. You gotta love these acronyms. This will mark Japan's 3rd lunar landing attempt after the unsuccessful runs of the Ometenashi and Hakuto-R missions. Like its predecessor, SLIM will utilize its own propulsion system for the lunar journey, following a slow and fuel-efficient route that will take approximately 4 months. Once in lunar orbit, SLIM will dedicate an additional month for pre-landing preparations. It will then enter a crash course to the intended landing zone. Next, the lander will capture images of the surface and scan it for obstacles. Utilizing this data, the spacecraft will autonomously select a suitable landing site and execute the required maneuvers to reach it. Uniquely, SLIM does not employ conventional landing legs. Instead, it's designed with a crushable structure on its side, which means that during the final moments of descent, it will actually flip to its side for a semi-hard landing. The main goal of SLIM's mission is to showcase precise landing capabilities, aiming to touch down within 100 meters or 330 feet of the selected target. After a successful landing, SLIM's onboard experiments will analyze the composition of lunar rocks. This research could provide valuable insights into the formation history of our moon. Before it touches down, the lander will also release a mini camera and a compact rover. The rover, named Sora-Q, boasts a unique movement mechanism. It uses 2 hemispherical halves to navigate the lunar regolith. And yes, it comes equipped with a camera to snap photos of its otherworldly environment. You may look at this rover and think, Felix, that looks like a toy. Here comes the twist, that's because it technically is a toy. Sara-Q was created by Takara Tomy, a Japanese toy company. Intriguingly, the company even sells a nearly identical model so that you can have your own lunar rover, albeit a costly one. While the mission was initially slated for an August 28th liftoff, poor weather conditions forced them to scrub the launch. Fortunately, the launch window extends until September 15th, so there is a good chance the mission might already be underway by the time you're watching this. So what's your take? Will Japan nail the lunar landing, and if so, will Slim and its mini rover arrive intact? Place your bets in the comments. That's it for today. Remember to smash the like button, subscribe for more awesome content. This is what fuels the algorithm and helps us immensely. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. Link is in the description. And if you want to get even smarter about space and rockets, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. With the Felix, that looks... No. How about alternatively the new construction?